Space burned. Plasma beams crossed the void in deadly patterns. Ships exploded in silent fireballs. The battle raged for hours, neither side gaining clear advantage. The Velthara core fleet was powerful, experienced, disciplined. But the coalition was something the Empire had never faced before. Unpredictable, adaptive, united by choice rather than fear. Captain Jiwan rolled her fighter through a stream of plasma fire. Behind her, Phoenix Squadron followed, a mix of human and alien pilots working as one unit. They had destroyed 7 Velthara cruisers already, using tactics that combined human aggression with Nexari precision and Veldor stealth. Phoenix 1. "This is command," Taiwan's voice came through her helmet. "We identified a weakness in their formation. The flagship is protected by layered shields, but our Nexari allies detected a power fluctuation. They are routing too much energy to forward defenses. Their rear shields are vulnerable for 8-second windows during weapon recharge cycles." Jiwan studied her tactical display. The flagship sat at the center of the Velthara formation, surrounded by protective cruisers. Getting to its rear would mean flying through the heart of the enemy fleet. Suicide by any reasonable calculation. "Understood, Command. Phoenix Squadron will make the run." She switched to her squadron channel. "You all heard that? This is going to be rough. I will not order anyone to follow. This is volunteer only." "Phoenix 2 with you to the end," Day responded immediately. "Phoenix 3, ready," Yuna said. One by one, every pilot in her squadron confirmed. Human Nexari Veldor Crix, all of them ready to die for a chance to end this war. "Then let us finish this," Jiwan said. "Phoenix Squadron attack formation." "Target is the flagship. We go through, not around. Maximum speed. Do not stop for anything." 20 fighters accelerated toward the enemy fleet. Velthara point defense systems opened fire immediately. The first fighter exploded in seconds, then another. But the rest kept coming, weaving and dodging with desperate skill. The coalition fleet saw what Phoenix Squadron was attempting. Without orders, without coordination beyond the shared tactical network, they acted. Nexari ships focused their sensors on the flagship, feeding targeting data to everyone. Veldor vessels launched torpedoes at the protective cruisers, forcing them to adjust position. Crix fighters swarmed in from another direction, dividing enemy fire. Human warships pushed forward, drawing attention away from Phoenix Squadron. This was what Commander Taiwan had envisioned. Not rigid hierarchy, but fluid cooperation, each group doing what it did best, trusting others to do the same. Jiwan's fighter punched through the defensive perimeter. Half her squadron was gone. The survivors were damaged, trailing atmosphere and fuel. But they were through. The flagship loomed before them, massive and terrible. "Timing is everything," she said. "Wait for the shield fluctuation. Nexari sensors will give us the exact moment. One shot. Make it count." On the flagship's bridge, High Enforcer Kalthar watched the fighters approach. He felt no fear. His shields were the strongest in the fleet. These insects would die like all the others. "Main weapons, fire," he ordered. The flagship's massive plasma cannons discharged. For 8 seconds, power routed away from the rear shields to feed the weapons. For 8 seconds, the flagship was vulnerable. Now, the Nexari pilot transmitted. Phoenix Squadron fired everything. Missiles designed by Dr. Hana, incorporating technology from a dozen species, streaked toward the flagship's exposed rear section. They struck the engine core with perfect precision. The explosions were beautiful and terrible. The flagship's reactor containment failed. Energy that powered the greatest warship in the Velthara fleet turned inward, consuming the ship from within. Kalthar had time for one last thought before the bridge vaporized. Impossible. We are Velthara. We do not lose, but they did. The flagship died in the expanding sphere of plasma and debris, and with it died 3,000 years of unquestioned imperial dominance. The Velthara fleet faltered. For the first time in recorded history, they hesitated. Their leader was dead. Their invincible flagship was gone. And the enemy was not running. The enemy was advancing. "All coalition forces, press the attack." Commander Taiwan's voice rang across every channel. "They are breaking. Do not let them regroup." The coalition fleet surged forward. Humans screaming battle cries, Nexari harmonizing victory songs, Veldor striking in perfect silence, Crix overwhelming with numbers. They were different species, different worlds, different dreams. But in this moment they were one. The Velthara fleet shattered. Some ships tried to fight. Others attempted to flee. Most simply surrendered, their crews unable to process defeat. The impossible had happened. The Empire had lost. Ji-won brought her dying fighter back toward the Coalition lines. Her engines were failing. Life support was critical. But she was alive. They had won. Phoenix 1 to command. Mission accomplished. The flagship is destroyed. Enemy fleet is retreating. Copy that, Phoenix 1. Well done, Captain. Well done. Taewon's voice carried exhaustion and relief. All forces cease fire on surrendering vessels. We win this war through victory, not vengeance. The battle ended. The Coalition had lost many ships, many brave warriors from every species, but they had won. And across the galaxy, on hundreds of conquered worlds, people looked up at the stars and felt something they had not felt in generations. Hope. 3 months later, Ambassador Minho stood in the Great Assembly Hall on the Velthara homeworld. The planet had surrendered without further fighting once word of the core fleet's defeat spread. Now representatives from across the galaxy gathered to build something new. We stand at a crossroads, Minho said to the assembled delegates. For 3,000 years this galaxy knew only the Empire. Conquest, subjugation, fear. But that age is over. Today we establish the Galactic Federation. Not an empire built on force, but an alliance built on cooperation. Not subjects and masters, but equals and partners. The Velthara representative, a younger warrior named Talith, stood. My people have much to answer for. We caused terrible suffering. We destroyed countless civilizations. How can you trust us to be part of this federation? Because holding grudges serves no one, Commander Taewon said, standing beside Minho. We fought to end tyranny, not to create new enemies. The Velthara people are not responsible for their leaders' crimes. You deserve a chance to choose a different path, Dr. Hana added. We learned something fighting your empire. Technology alone does not make a civilization great. The Velthara had superior weapons but stopped innovating. They had power but stopped questioning. True strength comes from constant growth, constant adaptation. We want to share that philosophy with everyone, including your people. The Assembly voted. The Galactic Federation was established. Every species received equal representation. Every world gained the right to self-determination. And at the center of it all, humanity served not as conquerors, but as the reminder that freedom was worth fighting for. Captain Ji-won, fully recovered from her wounds, walked through the memorial gardens established on Earth. Thousands of names were carved into black stone, humans who died in the war, aliens who fought beside them. She traced her finger over familiar names, friends, comrades, heroes. They changed the galaxy, a voice said behind her. She turned to find Talith, the young Velthara representative. He looked uncomfortable in the peaceful garden, away from the military structure that had defined his species for millennia. We all did, Ji-won replied. Human Velthara, everyone who refused to accept that tyranny was inevitable. I studied your tactics, Talith said. Your first battle when you destroyed the sensor arrays. Your attack on the planet killer. The final strike on the flagship. You never fought the way we expected. You adapted constantly. How did you know that would work? Ji-won smiled. We did not know. We just refused to give up. Humanity has fought wars for thousands of years. We learned that rigid thinking loses battles. The side that adapts fastest usually wins. Your empire forgot that lesson. We were arrogant, Talith admitted. We believed our superiority was absolute. We stopped learning, stopped growing. It took defeat to teach us humility. Then use that lesson well, Ji-won said. Build something better. That is how we honor those who fell. Years passed. The Galactic Federation grew stronger. New technologies emerged from the collaboration of dozens of species. Trade routes expanded. Art and culture flowed freely between worlds. The scars of the Velthara Empire slowly healed, though they would never fully disappear. Commander Taewon, now an old man, stood on the bridge of a Federation patrol ship. He was retired from active command but still advised the defense forces. A young officer approached with a report. Sir, sensors detected unusual energy signatures in the outer rim. Unknown ship design. Not in any of our databases. Taewon studied the readings. Something new. Something potentially dangerous. In the old days before the Federation, such a discovery would have triggered fear and aggression. Now it triggered curiosity. Send a diplomatic vessel, he ordered. Full delegation. Human, Nexari, Veldor, even Velthara representatives. Show them what the Federation represents. Show them that the galaxy has changed. The young officer nodded and left. Taiwan returned his gaze to the stars. He thought about the day the Velthara arrived at Earth. And surrender. That choice C. 6 weeks after the planet killer's destruction, Earth orbit looked different. Where once only human ships patrolled, now dozens of alien vessels moved in careful formations. They came from worlds with names humans could barely pronounce. Crystalline ships from Nexar, sleek submarines designed for space travel from Veldora, strange organic vessels from the Crix hives, and more arriving every day. Ambassador Minho stood in the newly constructed orbital station, watching the alien fleet assemble through the massive viewports. Behind him, representatives from 14 different species argued about tactics, supply lines, and chain of command. The babble of different languages filled the conference chamber, even with translator devices working overtime. "Order," Minho called out. The arguing continued. He slammed his hand on the table. The sharp sound cut through the noise. "We will get nowhere if we cannot agree on basic coordination. The Velthara are gathering their core fleet. Intelligence suggests they will attack in less than 2 weeks. If we are still arguing when they arrive, we all die." A crystalline being, the Nexari representative, spoke in chiming tones. "The human is correct. We came to fight together, not debate endlessly. But we must address the central question. Who commands this coalition?" All eyes turned to Minho. He had expected this question. Every species here had been conquered by the Velthara. Every species had learned to distrust others. The Empire had ruled through division, keeping subjugated races separate and suspicious of each other. "I propose Commander Taiwan of Earth Defense Forces," Minho said. "He has proven he can defeat the Velthara. He understands unconventional warfare, and most importantly, he fights to win, not for glory." A hulking insectoid from the Crix hive clicked its mandibles. "Why should we follow a human? We outnumber you. Our technology is older. Our experience spans centuries." "Because we are the only ones who hurt them," a new voice said. Captain Jiwan entered the chamber. She moved with a slight limp, still recovering from her injuries. Burns scarred the left side of her face, but her eyes burned with the same fierce determination. "Humanity has been fighting the Velthara for 2 months. 2 months. You have all been conquered for decades, some for centuries. In 2 months, we destroyed a planet-killer weapon, crippled their invasion fleet, and proved the Empire could bleed." She looked at each representative in turn. "We do not claim to be better than you. We do not claim to be smarter. But we refuse to lose. And right now, that is what this coalition needs. The will to fight even when victory seems impossible." Silence filled the chamber. Then the Nexari representative chimed softly. "The human warrior speaks truth. We vote to accept Commander Taiwan as coalition commander." One by one, the other representatives agreed, some reluctantly, others with enthusiasm, but they agreed. For the first time in 3,000 years, the subjugated species of the galaxy were uniting against their oppressor. In the command center beneath the Himalayas, Taiwan studied the reports from his new allies. Each species brought something unique to the coalition. The Nexari had sensor technology that could detect Velthara ships through their stealth fields. The Veldor understood three-dimensional combat better than any surface-dwelling species. The Crix could produce ships and weapons faster than anyone thought possible, but coordination was the challenge. Each species had its own fighting style, its own command structure, its own traditions. The Nexari communicated through harmonic patterns. The Crix operated as a hive mind. The Veldor preferred complete silence during combat. "We need a different approach," Taiwan said to Dr. Hana, who stood beside him reviewing technical specifications. "Traditional military hierarchy will not work with so many different species. We need something more flexible." "What if we do not use hierarchy at all?" Hana suggested. "What if each species operates independently but shares all information in real time? Let each group fight how they fight best, but coordinate through shared intelligence." Taiwan considered this. It went against everything traditional military doctrine taught. But traditional doctrine had not defeated the Velthara. "Show me how it would work." Hana pulled up a holographic display. "We create a shared tactical network. Every ship, every fighter, every soldier feeds data into it. Everyone sees the same battlefield information simultaneously. I give overall strategic objectives, but individual commanders decide how to achieve them. Trust instead of orders. The Velthara will not expect that, Taiwan said slowly. They fight with rigid command structures. They expect enemies to do the same, exactly. We turn our diversity into strength. The Velthara see unity as uniformity, but real unity allows for differences. Hana's fingers flew across her display. I can have the network operational in 5 days. Do it, Taiwan ordered. And Hana, how are the new ships progressing? Hana smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine. Come see for yourself. They took a transport up to the orbital shipyards. What Taiwan saw took his breath away. 3 massive warships hung in space, each one as large as a Velthara cruiser. But these ships looked different. The hulls incorporated human design philosophy with alien materials. Weapons from 5 different species bristled along their flanks. The engines glowed with hybrid power systems that combined the best technology from every coalition member. We call them the Prometheus class, Hana said proudly, named after the human myth about stealing fire from the gods. These ships represent everything we have learned from fighting the Velthara, and everything our allies taught us. They are faster than Imperial cruisers. Their shields are stronger, and their weapons can punch through any defense the Velthara possess. How many can you build? Taiwan asked. With the Krix manufacturing capacity? 20 more in the next month. 50 in 3 months. Give me 6 months and we will have a fleet that matches the Imperial core. We may not have 6 months, Taiwan said. Intelligence reports suggest the Velthara core fleet will arrive soon. As if summoning them with words, alarms began screaming. Every display in the shipyard turned red. A young officer's voice came through the communication system, panicked and urgent. Commander! Massive hyperspace signatures detected at the edge of the system. It is them, the Velthara core fleet, over 300 ships. They will reach Earth orbit in 4 hours. Taiwan and Hana exchanged glances. This was it. The moment they had prepared for but hoped would come later. The core fleet had never been defeated. It represented the Empire's absolute power. All coalition forces battle stations, Taiwan ordered. His voice carried across every channel, translated into 14 different languages simultaneously. This is Commander Taiwan. The enemy is here. The Velthara think they will crush us like they have crushed hundreds of species before us. They think we are divided, weak, afraid. He paused, gathering his thoughts. They are wrong. We stand together. Humans, Nexari, Veldor, Krix, and all our brothers and sisters who refused to bow. Today we show the Empire what unity truly means. Today we show them that 3,000 years of tyranny ends here. All ships prepare for combat. For your worlds. For your families. For freedom. The coalition fleet began moving into position. It was a strange sight. Ships of wildly different designs from dozens of species, arranging themselves in a defensive sphere around Earth. On paper, they were outnumbered. The Velthara core fleet had more ships, more weapons, more experience. But the coalition had something the Empire did not. They had hope, and they had learned from humanity that sometimes hope was enough. G1 climbed into her new fighter. It was not the same ship she had flown against the planet killer. That one had been destroyed. This replacement incorporated Nexari sensors, Veldor stealth systems, and weapons designed by Dr. Hana herself. It was a ship built by the Coalition for the Coalition. Phoenix Squadron. Status report, she said into her helmet communicator. Phoenix 2 ready. That was Day, a young pilot who had lost his entire family in the first bombardment. Phoenix 3. Systems green. Yuna, who had flown through hell itself to destroy the planet killer. One by one, her squadron reported ready. But this time, Phoenix Squadron included more than just humans. 2 Nexari pilots, crystalline beings who flew ships designed for their unique physiology. A Veldor warrior who had sworn to fight until the Empire fell. Even a Krix soldier who had chosen to leave the hive mind temporarily to fly as an individual. This is Phoenix 1 to all squadron members, G1 said. We train together. We fight together. Today we prove that the coalition is real, that differences make us stronger, not weaker. Stay sharp, watch each other's backs, and remember why we are here. The Velthara core fleet emerged from hyperspace like a storm made solid. 300 warships, each one a masterpiece of destructive engineering. At their center, the flagship of the Velthara Empire gleamed with dark purpose. High Enforcer Kalthar stood on its bridge, his 4 eyes scanning the coalition fleet with contempt. Pathetic, he said. They gathered their primitive allies and think that makes them strong. They do not understand. The Empire has crushed coalition after coalition. Unity means nothing against superior power. He opened the fleet-wide communication channel. All ships advance. Destroy everything. Leave no survivors. I want these species to understand what happens when they defy the Empire. Space was silent, but Jiwan's fighter screamed through it at impossible speed. Behind her, 200 human fighters followed in tight formation. Ahead, the Velthara fleet waited like a wall of death. The planet killer dominated the view. It was shaped like a massive spear 10 kilometers long, covered in armor plates that reflected the distant stars. Energy crackled along its length as the weapon continued charging. In 12 minutes, it would fire. One shot would destroy everything within 3,000 kilometers of impact. Commander Taewan and everyone in the Himalayan command center would be vaporized instantly. Jiwan pushed the thought away. Fear was useless now. Only the mission mattered. Phoenix Squadron weapons hot, she said calmly. Remember the plan. We scatter on my mark, confuse their targeting, make them chase shadows while Strike Team Alpha goes for the kill. The Velthara fleet detected them. Hundreds of warships began turning, their weapon ports glowing with building energy. Plasma beams would fill space in seconds. Most of the human fighters would die in the first volley, Mark. Jiwan shouted. The human formation exploded outward. Fighters scattered in every direction, some diving, some climbing, some spinning in patterns that made no tactical sense. The Velthara targeting computers tried to lock onto them and failed. The aliens were used to enemies who fought in orderly formations. They did not understand chaos. Plasma beams lanced through space, but most hit nothing. A few human fighters exploded in balls of fire, but not as many as the Velthara expected. The alien fleet adjusted, trying to predict human movements, but predicting chaos was impossible. While the Velthara focused on the scattered fighters, 20 ships led by Jiwan dove toward the planet killer from below. They came in fast and low, using the massive weapon itself as cover from the surrounding fleet. The planet killer had its own defenses, but most of them pointed outward, not down. Strike Team Alpha, target the charging arrays, G1 ordered. Those glowing sections along the spine. Dr. Hana says if we can overload them, the weapon will tear itself apart. Her targeting computer locked onto the first array. The new missiles, equipped with technology that could punch through Velthara shields, sat ready in her launch tubes. She thought about Dr. Hana working without sleep to build these weapons. She thought about Taewan trusting her with this mission. She thought about her family, dead in soul. For Earth, she whispered and fired. 20 fighters launched their missiles at once. 60 weapons streaked toward the planet killer's vulnerable charging arrays. The Velthara point defense systems opened fire, destroying many missiles, but not all of them. Not enough. The first missile punched through the shield and struck a charging array. The explosion was small, almost disappointing. Then the second missile hit, then the third. Energy began arcing between the damaged arrays. The planet killer's systems tried to compensate, rerouting power, but the damage was spreading too fast. On the bridge of the Velthara flagship, High Enforcer Kalthar watched his perfect weapon die. His 4 eyes widened in disbelief. This was impossible. The humans were primitives. They should have been crushed weeks ago, yet here they were destroying the most powerful weapon in the Imperial arsenal. All ships, destroy those fighters, he roared. I want every human vessel turned to dust. The entire Velthara fleet opened fire at once. Space became a storm of plasma and death. Human fighters exploded by the dozens, but they had already launched their missiles. The damage was done. The planet killer's charging arrays overloaded catastrophically. Energy that was meant to destroy continents tore through the weapon's own structure instead. Explosions rippled along its length. The massive spear began breaking apart. Jiwan's fighter was caught in the shockwave. Alarm screamed. Her canopy cracked. Fire filled the cockpit. She fought the controls, trying to stabilize, but her ship was dying. Through the smoke and sparks, she saw the planet killer's reactor core breach. The explosion lit up space like a newborn star. Then everything went white. In the command center beneath the Himalayas, every screen showed the same image. A massive explosion where the planet killer had been. The blast was so bright that sensors had to filter it or risk burning out. Slowly, the light faded. Where the weapon had stood, only debris remained. The room erupted in cheers. Officers hugged each other. Some were crying. Some were laughing. They had done it. Against impossible odds, they had destroyed the weapon that would have ended Earth. Commander Taewan did not cheer. He was staring at the casualty reports coming in. Of the 200 fighters that launched, only 37 were reporting in. 163 pilots dead, 163 families who would never see their loved ones again. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission," an officer said. "It is Captain G1. Taewon's head snapped up. "Put her through." Static filled the speakers. Then Ji-won's voice came through, weak and distorted. "Command, this is Phoenix 1. My fighter is wrecked, but I am alive. Drifting in debris field. Could use a ride home." Relief washed over Taewon. "Recovery teams are already launching, Captain." "You did it. You saved Earth. We all did it, Commander. Every pilot who flew. Every person who refused to surrender." Her voice crackled. "Tell Dr. Hana her weapons worked perfectly. Tell Ambassador Minho that the galaxy is watching. And tell everyone else that the Velthera can be beaten." The transmission cut out. Taewon stood quietly for a moment, then turned to face the command center. Everyone was looking at him, waiting. "Today we won our first major victory," he said. His voice carried to every corner of the room. "Today we proved that the Velthara Empire can bleed. But this is just the beginning. They will come back stronger. They will be angry, so we must be ready. We must become stronger too." Ambassador Minho stepped forward. "Commander, I have news. My contacts report that word of our victory is spreading through the black market networks faster than anything they have seen. Subjugated species across the galaxy are celebrating. Some are even planning their own resistance movements." "Good," Taewon said. "Let them see that the Empire is not invincible." "There is more," Minho continued. "Several species have reached out to me directly. They want to meet. They want to discuss an alliance. They want to fight alongside us." Taewon looked at the ambassador carefully. "An alliance? Against the Velthara Empire? We gave them hope, Commander. For 3,000 years, these species have lived under the Empire's shadow. They watched their worlds burn. They saw their children enslaved. They learned to accept it because resistance seemed impossible. But we proved it is not impossible. We proved that the Velthara can lose." Dr. Hana entered the command center, still wearing her laboratory coat. "Commander, I need to show you something. The Velthara ships we destroyed in the battle. We recovered significant wreckage. Their technology is more advanced than ours, but it is old. Very old. They have not innovated in centuries, maybe millennia. They have relied on overwhelming force for so long that they stopped improving. What does that mean for us?" Taewon asked. "It means we can catch up faster than they expect. Give me time and resources and I can reverse engineer their systems. I can build ships that match their capabilities. Maybe exceed them." Hana's eyes gleamed with fierce determination. "The Velthara won through superior technology. But technology only matters if you keep advancing." They stopped. "We will not." Taewon felt something shift in his chest. Not just hope. Something stronger, certainty. "Ambassador Minho, contact these alien species. Tell them we are willing to meet. Tell them we are building a coalition. Tell them that the age of Velthara domination is ending. And if they ask what humanity brings to this coalition," Minho asked, "tell them we bring something the galaxy has not seen in 3,000 years. We bring the will to fight, the refusal to bow, the audacity to challenge gods and make them bleed." Taewon looked around the command center at the tired, determined faces of his people. "Tell them we bring hope." On the Velthara flagship, High Enforcer Kalthar stood before the holographic display showing the destroyed planet killer. His hands clenched and unclenched. Rage boiled through his veins. In 40 years of service, he had never lost, never failed, never been challenged by primitives who should have died in the first week of invasion. Battlemaster Renkar stood behind him, silent. The Battlemaster had tried to warn him about underestimating humans. Kalthar had ignored the warning. Now they had lost their most powerful weapon. Now the humans had momentum. "High Enforcer," Renkar said carefully, "I recommend we request reinforcements from the Imperial Core Fleet. The humans are more dangerous than anticipated. We need additional ships." "No," Kalthar said. His voice was cold, hard. "Requesting reinforcements would be admitting failure, admitting that a primitive species defeated me. I will not give the Imperial Council that satisfaction. But sir, the humans have proven they can hurt us. If other species hear about this victory, they might rebel. The Empire could face uprising across multiple systems." Kalthar turned, his 4 eyes blazing. "Then we crush the humans so completely that no other species dares to hope. We make an example so terrible that the galaxy remembers for another 3,000 years." He activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All vessels, this is High Enforcer Kalthar. The humans think they have won. Commander Taewon stood in the observation deck of Earth Defense Headquarters, staring at the holographic display floating before him. The blue dot representing Earth looked so peaceful, so small. Around it, hundreds of red markers blinked with angry urgency. Each one was a ship. Each ship belonged to them, the Velthara. 2 weeks ago, humanity did not know aliens existed. 2 weeks ago, the greatest concern was establishing trade routes between the Mars colony and the mining stations near Jupiter. 2 weeks ago, humanity thought they were alone in the universe. Everything changed when the colonial station on Titan went silent. Then Europa. Then the research facility orbiting Saturn. One by one, humanity's outer settlements simply stopped transmitting. Search and rescue teams found nothing but debris and radiation. The attacks happened so fast that not a single distress call got through. Then they appeared. Massive warships, each one larger than any human vessel ever built. They emerged from empty space itself, tearing holes in reality and pouring through like smoke. The fleet arranged itself at the edge of the solar system in perfect military formation. And then they sent their message. The transmission played on every screen, every device, every communication system on Earth simultaneously. A tall figure appeared, its body covered in dark scales that seemed to absorb light. 4 eyes glowed with cold intelligence. When it spoke, the words came out in dozens of languages at once, as if the creature was speaking directly into each listener's mind. The message was simple. Surrender immediately and completely or be destroyed. Humanity had 3 days to decide. The transmission ended with images of other worlds, other species who had refused. Burning planets, shattered cities, entire civilizations reduced to ash and memory. Taewon had spent every hour since that moment preparing for war. Not because he thought humanity could win. The technology gap was enormous. Human weapons seemed like toys compared to what the Velthara possessed. But surrender was not in his nature. It was not in humanity's nature. Behind him, the door opened. He did not need to turn around to know who entered. The soft footsteps belonged to Dr. Hana, the lead scientist assigned to his command. She moved like someone carrying a great weight, and Taewon understood why. Her family had been on Europa when it died. We analyzed the wreckage from the destroyed stations, Hana said quietly. Her voice was steady, professional, but Taewon heard the anger underneath. Their weapons used directed plasma streams. Temperature exceeds anything we have encountered. Our hull materials evaporate before the beam even makes contact. What about their defenses? Taewon asked. Energy shields. Some kind of field that deflects kinetic and energy weapons. Our missiles cannot touch them. Our railguns might as well be shooting rocks. She paused. Commander, I need to be honest. Based on what we have seen, we cannot hurt them. Not with anything we currently possess. Taewon finally turned to face her. Hana looked exhausted. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. She had probably not slept since her family died. But her gaze remained sharp, focused. Good. He needed that focus. Tell me about the shields, he said. How do they work? We are still analyzing the data, but they appear to operate on a specific frequency. The field generates a resonance that disrupts incoming projectiles and energy bursts. She pulled up her own display, showing complex mathematical equations. The problem is we cannot generate enough power to penetrate them. Even our nuclear weapons would be absorbed before detonation. But you found something, Taewon said. It was not a question. He knew Hana. If she had truly found nothing useful, she would not be here. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. Perhaps. The frequency is fixed. They never change it. I think they have never needed to. Maybe no species they have conquered possessed the technology to detect it, let alone exploit it. Can we exploit it? I am working on it. Hana's fingers danced across her display. Give me time, Commander. I will find a way to hurt them. The building shook. Alarms screamed to life. Red emergency lights bathed the room in crimson. A young officer burst through the door, his face pale. Commander! The deadline has passed. They are moving in. The main fleet is advancing toward Earth. Taewon moved quickly to the command center. Every screen showed the same horrifying sight. The red markers were moving, flowing inward like a tide of blood. Trajectory calculations appeared beside each ship. They were heading for the major cities: New York, London, Beijing, Mumbai, São Paulo. The Velthara were not interested in military targets first. They wanted to break humanity's spirit. All defense forces, battle stations, Taewon ordered. His voice carried across every military channel on the planet. Deploy the orbital defense platforms. Launch all available fighters. Civilian population, move to designated shelters immediately. This is not a drill. Within minutes, Earth's defense is activated. Satellites armed with missiles and railguns powered up. Fighter squadrons launched from bases across the globe, screaming up through the atmosphere toward the approaching enemy. Taewon knew it would not be enough. But humanity would not die quietly. One of the fighter squadrons caught his attention. The leader's call sign was Phoenix. Captain Jiwon. Taewon had reviewed her file. Test pilot. Multiple commendations. A reputation for doing the impossible. If anyone could surprise the Velthara, it would be her. Phoenix Squadron, you are cleared for engagement, the combat coordinator said. Good luck. Copy that. Phoenix Squadron, stay tight and follow my lead. Jiwon's voice was calm, confident. Remember your training. These things might have bigger ships, but we are faster. We are smarter. And we are very, very angry. Let us show them what humans can do. The first wave of human fighters met the Velthara fleet at the orbital defense line. For a few heartbeats, nothing happened. Then the alien ships opened fire. Streams of plasma cut through space like deadly ribbons. The first human fighters to be hit simply disappeared, vaporized instantly. More beams lanced out and more fighters died. The orbital platforms launched everything they had, thousands of missiles streaking toward the enemy. The Velthara shields absorbed every single one without even flickering. But Jiwon's squadron did something unexpected. Instead of attacking head-on, they scattered. They used the debris field from the destroyed stations as cover. They flew patterns that made no sense, weaving and dodging with apparently random movements. The Velthara targeting systems could not lock onto them. Phoenix to all fighters. Do not try to penetrate their shields. Aim for their sensor arrays, the small protrusions on the hull. Even if our weapons cannot get through the main shields, those sensors stick out. They are vulnerable. Human fighters changed tactics immediately. Precision strikes targeted the sensor arrays. A few hits got through. Small explosions blossomed on the hulls of Velthara ships, not enough to destroy them, but enough to blind them. The alien fleet's coordination faltered. Taewon watched with growing hope. Jiwon had found a weakness. A small one, but it existed. If there was one weakness, there would be others. The hope did not last long. The Velthara adapted quickly. Their remaining ships formed a defensive sphere, protecting each other's blind spots. Then they unleashed a new weapon. The holographic display showed massive energy buildups on the largest vessels. Dr. Hana gasped. Commander, those energy readings. They are preparing to bombard the planet directly. Taewon's blood went cold. He opened the emergency broadcast channel. All citizens seek shelter immediately. Deep underground. Move now! The first beam struck the Pacific Ocean. The impact released more energy than 100 nuclear weapons. The resulting tsunami would devastate coastal cities on every continent. More beams followed, striking major population centers. New York's skyscrapers melted like candles. London vanished in a crater of glass. Beijing's ancient streets turned to plasma. Billions of people died in the first hour. Humanity's greatest cities became tombs. The Velthara broadcast a new message. The scaled figure appeared again, its 4 eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Your resistance is noted and dismissed. Surrender now, or every city on your world will burn. You have 1 hour. The command center fell silent. Officers looked to Taewon, waiting for orders. He stood perfectly still, his mind racing through possibilities. Surrender would save the survivors, but humanity would become slaves. Fighting meant more death, probably extinction. Then Dr. Hana spoke. Her voice was soft, but it cut through the silence like a blade. Commander, I found it. The shields. I know how to break them. Every eye in the room turned to her. She pulled up her display, her hands shaking with excitement and exhaustion and rage. Our radar technology. It operates on frequencies they do not account for. Their shields deflect weapons, but information passes right through. We can see inside their ships. And if we can see through the shields, we can target through them. We can hurt them, Commander. We can make them bleed. Taewon felt something stir in his chest. Not hope, not yet. But something close. The Velthara had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. They had destroyed hundreds of civilizations. They had never lost, but they had never fought humans before. Get me Captain Jiwon, Taewon said, and prepare all remaining forces. We are going to show these things what happens when they underestimate humanity. He looked at the countdown timer. 53 minutes until the Velthara deadline. 53 minutes. Captain Jiwan pulled her fighter into a steep dive, the Earth's atmosphere screaming past her canopy. Behind her, 3 more fighters from Phoenix Squadron followed in tight formation. Below them, the Rocky Mountains stretched like broken teeth against the sky. Somewhere in those peaks, the Velthara had established a forward base. 3 weeks had passed since the invasion began. 3 weeks since the Velthara turned Earth's greatest cities into graves. 3 weeks since Dr. Hana discovered how to see through their shields. Everything changed after that discovery. The first counterattack came as a surprise to the aliens. Human fighters equipped with the new radar-guided missiles struck a supply convoy near the lunar orbit. For the first time, human weapons penetrated Velthara shields. 5 alien ships exploded before the rest could retreat. It was not a major victory, but it proved something important. The Velthara could bleed. Commander Taewan changed tactics after that first success. No more frontal assaults. No more predictable defense patterns. Humanity would fight like wolves, not like soldiers. Strike fast, strike hard, then vanish before the enemy could respond. Use the terrain. Use the weather. Use every advantage Earth offered. The Velthara did not understand this kind of war. For 3,000 years, they had crushed opposition through overwhelming force. Their military doctrine had never needed to adapt. Every species they encountered fought the same way. Form battle lines. Defend key positions. Lose predictably. Humans did not fight like that. Jiwan pulled up hard, skimming over a mountain peak. Her targeting computer locked onto the Velthara base. The aliens had carved it into the side of a mountain, thinking the rock would provide protection. They were wrong. The rock trapped them. Phoenix 2, 3, 4 weapons free, Jiwan said calmly. Remember, hit the entrance supports. Let the mountain do the rest. The missiles streaked down. They struck the carved entrance with perfect precision. The explosions were small, almost disappointing. But then the mountain itself began to move. Thousands of tons of rock collapsed inward, burying the Velthara base under an avalanche. The aliens inside never had time to call for help. Good shooting, Phoenix Squadron. Taewan's voice came through her helmet. Return to base. We have another mission ready. Jiwan brought her fighter around, climbing back toward space. She allowed herself a small smile. This was their 12th successful strike this week. The Velthara were learning that occupying Earth was not going to be easy. In the command center, deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, Taiwan studied the holographic map. Red markers showed Velthara positions. Blue markers showed human forces. The map looked different than it had 3 weeks ago. The red markers were spreading out, breaking into smaller groups. The aliens were trying to hunt down human resistance cells. They are frustrated, said Ambassador Minho, standing beside the commander. The diplomat had arrived yesterday with interesting news. My contacts report that Velthara Command is arguing among themselves. Some want to increase the bombardment. Others want to send ground troops to hunt us down properly. Your contacts? Taewan raised an eyebrow. I thought all alien species bowed to the Velthara. Minho smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. They bow because they have no choice. But they watch. They listen.
And they hope.
Word of our resistance is spreading through the black market communication networks. Other species are paying attention. Some are even offering quiet support. Support? What kind of support? Information mostly. Ship movements. Supply routes. Tactical assessments of Velthara forces. Minho pulled up his own datapad. One species, the Nexari, sent us complete technical specifications for Velthara communication systems. Another gave us maps of the Imperial supply network. Taewan studied the information carefully. They are helping us because they want us to win. They are helping us because we are the first species in 3,000 years to hurt the Velthara. We are hope, Commander. Hope that the Empire can be beaten. The door opened and Dr. Hana entered, carrying a large case. Dark circles still shadowed her eyes, but they burned with fierce energy. She had barely slept since the invasion began, spending every moment in her laboratory. Commander, Ambassador, I need to show you something, she said, setting the case on the table. She opened it carefully. Inside lay a weapon unlike anything Taewan had seen before. It looked like a human rifle, but the barrel glowed with soft blue light. Strange symbols were etched along its length. I call it the hybrid, Hana explained. It uses human engineering combined with Velthara power systems we salvaged from destroyed ships. The weapon fires plasma like theirs, but we control the frequency. It can punch through their shields. Taewan picked up the weapon. It was lighter than he expected. How many can you make? We are setting up production facilities in 3 hidden locations. Give me a month and I can equip 1,000 soldiers. Give me 3 months and every human fighter will carry one. You do not have 3 months, a new voice said. Everyone turned. A holographic figure materialized in the center of the room. The image flickered, distorted by interference. But the shape was clear enough. A Velthara warrior, but smaller than the ones they had seen before. This one wore different armor marked with symbols Taewon did not recognize. Identify yourself, Taewon demanded, his hand moving to his sidearm. My name is Battlemaster Renkar. I serve under High Enforcer Kalthar, commander of the invasion fleet. The alien's voice was harsh, mechanical through the translator. I am contacting you at great personal risk. Why? Minho asked. Why would a Velthara warrior contact us? Because High Enforcer Kalthar is about to deploy a weapon that will end your resistance. A planet killer, an orbital cannon that can crack continents. Renkar's image leaned forward. He plans to fire it in 72 hours. One shot will destroy everything within 3,000 kilometers. He will fire again and again until nothing lives on your world. Silence filled the command center. Taewon felt his blood go cold. Why tell us this? Why betray your commander? Because I have studied your species. I have watched your tactics. You adapt. You learn. You refuse to accept defeat. Renkar's 4 eyes seemed to glow brighter. The Velthara Empire has not faced a real challenge in millennia. We have grown complacent, arrogant. Kalthar does not see this. He thinks your resistance is an insult to be crushed. But I see something else. I see the beginning of the Empire's end. You want the Empire to fall? I want the Empire to change. We have ruled through fear and destruction for too long. But change cannot come from within. It must be forced from outside. The hologram flickered. I am sending you the coordinates of the planet killer and the schedules for its defensive patrols. If you can destroy it, Kalthar will be weakened. Other Velthara will begin to question his leadership. This could be a trap, Hana said quietly. It could be, Renkar agreed. But ask yourself, human, do you have any other choice? The weapon will fire regardless. At least this way you have a chance. The hologram vanished. Data began streaming into the command center's computers. Ship positions, defense grids, patrol patterns, everything they would need to plan an attack. Taewon studied the data. The planet killer was massive, larger than any human ship ever built. It sat at the center of the Velthara fleet, protected by hundreds of warships. Attacking it would be suicide, but Renkar was right. They had no choice. Get me Captain Jiwon, he said, and assemble every available fighter pilot. I need volunteers for a suicide mission. 30 minutes later, Jiwon stood before him. Behind her stood every single pilot in Phoenix Squadron. Behind them stood 200 more pilots from other squadrons. They all wore the same expression. Grim determination, you understand the odds? Taewon asked. Most of you will not return, Jiwon smiled. It was the smile of someone who had already accepted death. Commander, we lost our world 3 weeks ago. Our cities are gone. Our families are gone. The only thing we have left is the chance to hit back, to make them hurt the way they hurt us. So yes, we understand the odds, and we are ready. The other pilots nodded. Some were crying. Some looked angry. All of them looked ready. Taewon felt something tight in his chest. Pride, sadness, hope. Then let us give you every possible advantage. Dr. Hana, how many of your new weapons can you have ready in 72 hours? For 200 fighters? I can retrofit their missiles with the new guidance systems. They will pierce the shield. Hana looked at the pilots. Give me 3 days. I will give you weapons that can kill gods. You have 2 days, Taewon said. The planet killer charges on the 3rd. We have to strike before it fires. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of preparation. Hana's team worked without rest installing the new systems. Pilots trained in simulators, practicing the attack run over and over. Minho coordinated with his alien contacts, gathering every scrap of intelligence about the target. And in orbit above Earth, the Velthara planet killer began to charge its weapon. Energy readings climbed steadily. In less than 24 hours it would fire. Jiwon sat in her fighter running final systems checks. Her hands moved automatically across the controls. She had flown this ship 100 times, but this would be different. This time there might not be a return flight. She thought about her family. Her parents had died in Seoul when the Velthara bombardment began.